Welcome back to the channel, my dear and lovely viewers. Imagine reaching into a jar of loose change, pulling out a simple dime that most people would barely glance at, and discovering that the tiny silver-colored coin in your hand could actually be worth far more than 10 cents. It sounds unbelievable, yet stories like this exist in the world of coin collecting. The 1986 Philadelphia minted dime is one of those ordinary-looking coins that quietly circulates through pockets, drawers, and cash registers across the United States, while a few rare examples hide unusual errors and minting variations that make collectors eager to find them. What most people see as a common piece of change might actually hold a fascinating history, a story of American minting technology, and the surprising possibility of value far beyond its face amount. The coin in question is the 1986 United States one-dime coin, commonly known as the Roosevelt dime. The design features the profile portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the front, a design that has been used since 1946. The coin was created shortly after Roosevelt's death to honor his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, and also to recognize his strong association with the March of Dimes campaign that raised funds to combat polio. The design was created by sculptor John R. Sinek, whose initials appear subtly on the coin near the base of Roosevelt's neck. The Roosevelt dime replaced the earlier Mercury dime design, which had been minted from 1916 through 1945. By the time 1986 arrived, the Roosevelt dime had already been part of everyday American life for 4 decades. The United States Mint continued producing the coin at several facilities, including the historic United States Mint locations in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced dimes bearing the letter P as their mint mark during this period. This was significant because for many years the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark at all, but by the 1980s the P mark had become standard for most denominations. The 1986 dime struck at Philadelphia therefore carries a small letter P near the date on the front side of the coin. To an average person this detail might seem insignificant, but to collectors it provides essential information about the coin's origin. Every mint facility uses its own dies and production process, meaning slight variations and occasional mistakes can occur. Those differences sometimes produce coins that are far more valuable than their intended denomination. The Roosevelt dime itself measures approximately 17.91 millimeters in diameter and weighs about 2.27 grams. Since 1965 the coin has been made from a clad composition consisting of a copper core sandwiched between layers of copper-nickel alloy. This change happened during the mid-1960s when rising silver prices forced the United States government to remove silver from circulating dimes and quarters. Before 1965 dimes contained 90% silver, but the 1986 dime is entirely clad metal, giving it the familiar silvery appearance while actually containing no precious metal. Despite lacking silver, the coin still holds interest for collectors because of its design, historical context, condition, and possible minting errors. Millions of 1986 P dimes were produced, and most remain worth only their face value in ordinary circulated condition. Yet the story becomes more interesting when one considers the numerous ways a coin can become rare even within a large production year. Coin minting is a complex industrial process. Metal blanks are punched from sheets of alloy, washed and polished, then struck between engraved dies under immense pressure. During this process many things can go wrong. Dies can wear down, shift slightly, crack, or receive incorrect engravings. Blanks may enter the press improperly aligned. Pieces of debris can become trapped between the die and the coin. Any of these situations can produce what collectors call mint errors. Some of the most sought-after errors in Roosevelt dimes include double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and missing clad layers. Each of these mistakes transforms an otherwise ordinary coin into a collectible curiosity. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives 2 misaligned impressions from the master hub during its creation. When such a die strikes coins, the design elements appear doubled, often visible in the lettering or numbers. In the case of a 1986 P dime, collectors examine the date and the words Liberty and In God We Trust carefully for signs of doubling. A noticeable double die example can command significantly higher prices than a standard coin, especially if the doubling is dramatic and easily visible. Another interesting possibility involves the mint mark itself. Since the letter P was added to the die for Philadelphia coins, any irregularity in that tiny mark can attract collector attention. A weakly struck mint mark, a misplaced mint mark, or a doubled mint mark can all increase desirability. Though such variations are uncommon, they occasionally appear in circulation and can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into something intriguing. Off-center strikes are another type of mint error that sometimes affects dimes. This happens when the coin blank is not properly centered between the dies during the strike. As a result, part of the design appears missing while the remaining design is pushed toward one side. The amount of off-center displacement determines the value. A small shift might not be worth much, but a dramatic off-center strike that still shows the date can be worth far more than 10 cents. Clipped planchets occur earlier in the minting process. When coin blanks are punched from metal sheets, the punch occasionally overlaps the edge of a previously punched hole. This creates a coin blank with a curved section missing from its edge. When that blank is struck with the coin design, the missing metal becomes a distinctive clip shape on the finished coin. Collectors find these shapes fascinating because they provide a visible reminder of the mechanical process used to produce coins. Another rare possibility involves a missing clad layer. Because modern dimes are constructed from multiple metal layers, an error during the bonding process can leave one side missing its outer layer. Such a coin might appear copper-colored on one side instead of silver-colored. These errors are extremely rare but highly sought after when discovered. The value of a 1986p dime with such errors varies depending on the type and severity of the mistake. Minor errors might sell for a few dollars, while more dramatic examples can reach hundreds of dollars among collectors who specialize in error coins. The coin's condition also plays a major role in determining its worth. Condition in coin collecting is measured using a grading scale that ranges from poor condition coins with heavy wear to pristine mint state examples that look almost exactly as they did when they left the mint. A coin that has circulated for decades will typically show scratches, worn surfaces, and dull luster. Such a coin is generally worth only its face value unless it contains a significant error. However, an uncirculated 1986p dime preserved in exceptional condition might command a modest premium even without errors. Collectors appreciate coins with sharp details and original mint luster, especially when they have been professionally graded and certified by reputable grading services. In the highest grades, even common coins can become surprisingly valuable due to their rarity in perfect condition. Part of the fascination with coins like the 1986p dime lies in the fact that they were created for everyday commerce. Unlike special commemorative coins or limited edition collector pieces, these dimes were struck by the millions to pass through the hands of ordinary people buying groceries, paying bus fares, and making small purchases. Over time many were lost, damaged, or melted, while others survived in jars and collections. The United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of dimes in 1986, reflecting the country's growing economy and the continuing demand for small change. Each of those coins began its journey at the Philadelphia Mint, where massive coining presses struck thousands of coins every hour. Workers inspected the output periodically, but with such enormous production volumes it was inevitable that a few unusual pieces would escape into circulation. Decades later those same coins might still be hiding in plain sight. A coin collector sorting through pocket change could potentially discover an unusual variety that had gone unnoticed for years. This possibility is what keeps the hobby exciting. Every handful of coins carries a tiny chance of revealing something rare. The story of the Roosevelt dime itself is closely tied to the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt. During his presidency, the United States endured enormous challenges, including the economic collapse of the Great Depression and the global conflict of World War II. Roosevelt's leadership helped guide the nation through these difficult years, and his image on the dime serves as a lasting tribute to that period of history. Roosevelt also played a personal role in the fight against polio, a disease that had affected him earlier in life. His support for the March of Dimes fundraising campaign made the dime an especially meaningful symbol. When the United States Mint decided to place his portrait on the coin in 1946, it created a powerful connection between the denomination and the charitable movement that helped eradicate polio in the United States. By 1986 the design had become deeply familiar to Americans. Generations had grown up seeing Roosevelt's profile on the dime, and the coin had become one of the most recognizable pieces of U.S. currency. Yet even with such familiarity, few people paid close attention to the tiny details that collectors study carefully. Those details include the sharpness of Roosevelt's hair, the clarity of the lettering, and the subtle texture of the torch and branches on the reverse side of the coin. The reverse design features a central torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch representing strength. This arrangement reflects themes of American values that have remained consistent for decades. Collectors who search for valuable coins often use magnifying tools to inspect these details. Under magnification, small differences become visible. A doubled letter, a shifted mint mark, or a slight misalignment can reveal a rare variety. Even tiny imperfections may attract attention if they occurred during the minting process rather than from damage after circulation. Another factor influencing the value of a 1986p dime is the collector market itself. Coin collecting has long been a popular hobby in the United States, and certain coins become especially desirable due to their rarity, historical importance, or unique appearance. Auctions and online marketplaces allow collectors to buy and sell coins from around the world, sometimes driving prices much higher than expected. When a rare error coin appears at auction, competition among collectors can push the price upward. For example, a dramatic off-center strike or a major double die could sell for hundreds of dollars if multiple collectors want to add it to their collections. While such discoveries are uncommon, they demonstrate how a small piece of metal can acquire significant value through rarity and demand. The 1986p dime therefore represents more than just 10 cents. It represents the intricate system of modern coin production, the historical legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the enduring fascination people have with small objects that carry stories from the past. Each coin produced that year is part of a vast network of commerce and history that connects millions of people. Many collectors enjoy searching through rolls of coins from banks in hopes of finding unusual pieces. This practice, sometimes called coin roll hunting, has led to numerous discoveries of error coins and high-grade specimens. Because the Roosevelt dime remains in active circulation, coins from 1986 still appear occasionally in everyday change. Someone might receive one as change at a store, drop it into a jar, or spend it without a second thought. Yet that same coin might catch the eye of a collector who notices something unusual. Perhaps the mint mark appears doubled, or the strike seems slightly off-center. In that moment the coin transforms from ordinary change into an object of curiosity and potential value. Stories of valuable coins found in circulation have circulated among collectors for decades. While most coins are common, the possibility of discovering something rare keeps people interested in examining their change carefully. Even a modest error coin worth $20 or $50 represents a significant increase over the coin's face value. The appeal of coin collecting also lies in the connection between small everyday objects and the broader narrative of American history. Coins pass through countless hands, witnessing moments of daily life that rarely appear in history books. A dime minted in 1986 might have traveled through restaurants, bus stations, vending machines, and family piggy banks before eventually reaching a collector's album. Over time, the number of surviving high-quality examples decreases as coins wear down in circulation. This gradual loss of pristine specimens makes well-preserved coins increasingly desirable. A 1986p dime that somehow remained untouched for decades could be worth far more to a collector than one that has been heavily worn. Professional grading companies evaluate coins based on strict standards. They assign numerical grades that help determine market value. A coin graded at the highest levels may command strong prices among collectors who seek the finest known examples for their collections. While the majority of 1986p dimes are still worth only 10 cents, the existence of error coins and high-grade specimens means the series continues to attract attention. Collectors examine rolls of coins, estate collections, and old jars of change hoping to discover a hidden rarity. In the end, the story of the 1986 Philadelphia minted dime reminds us that value is not always obvious at first glance. A small coin that most people ignore could contain a tiny imperfection created decades ago in a busy minting facility. That imperfection might transform the coin into something unique and desirable. The next time someone holds a dime in their hand, it might be worth taking a closer look. The portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the tiny P mint mark, the fine lettering, and the subtle details of the torch and branches all tell part of the story. Hidden among millions of ordinary coins could be an unusual example waiting to be recognized. That possibility keeps the excitement alive in the world of coin collecting. The 1986p Roosevelt dime continues to circulate quietly through the economy, a reminder that history, craftsmanship, and a touch of chance can combine to turn an everyday object into something surprisingly valuable. My dear history lovers, if you're sifting through loose change and you pull out a seemingly ordinary dime dated 1998, you might think it's worth exactly 10 cents and nothing more. But what if this same coin, unnoticed in millions of pockets, purses, and cash registers, might hide rare characteristics that could make it worth hundreds, thousands, or even more to the right collector? The 1998p Liberty One dime from the United States is one of those coins that, on the surface, looks common, but underneath its everyday appearance hides a world of history, variation, and the tantalizing possibility of hidden value. If you've ever wondered whether seemingly ordinary pocket change could be hiding a treasure, the story of this coin will captivate you, because within ordinary mintages can lie extraordinary specimens that collectors hunt for around the world. At first glance, the 1998 p dime seems simple. It's a Roosevelt dime, a coin that has served daily commerce since shortly after World War II. The denomination itself, 10 cents, is common in everyday use, but there's far more to this small coin than meets the eye. What most people do not realize is that coins are tiny pieces of history, struck under industrial conditions that sometimes produce subtle differences, mistakes, or rare varieties that can significantly affect their value to collectors. The 1998 p dime has a story rooted in American minting technology, historical context, and the fascinating world of numismatics. The study and collection of coins. The Roosevelt dime design was introduced in 1946, shortly after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt led the nation through the Great Depression and much of World War II, but he was also associated personally with the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio that had touched his own life. As a tribute to his legacy, the United States Mint replaced the earlier Mercury dime with a new design featuring his portrait on the obverse and a torch flanked by branches of olive and oak on the reverse. The torch symbolizes liberty, the olive branch peace, and the oak branch strength, embodying the values Americans associate with Roosevelt's leadership. By the year 1998, that design had been used for over 50 years, making the Roosevelt dime one of the most enduring and recognizable coins in U.S. circulation, a coin passed from hand to hand millions of times every day. The Philadelphia Mint struck the 1998 P variety with a mint mark of P to denote its origin. That year the Philadelphia facility produced approximately 1,163,000,000 dimes for circulation, which means most coins from that year are common in everyday commerce. The coin itself is constructed from a copper-nickel clad composition, consisting of layers of copper and a copper-nickel alloy, giving it the familiar silvery appearance but no precious metal content. The diameter of the coin is about 17.9 mm and it weighs roughly 2.27 grams, characteristics consistent with Roosevelt dimes of the modern era. Because of the massive production numbers, the vast majority of 1998 p Roosevelt dimes circulating today are worth exactly their face value of 10 cents, especially in worn, everyday condition. In average circulated condition, these coins typically sell for only around 10 to 30 cents among collectors who specialize in circulated issues. Most people never think about the small pieces of metal jangling in their pockets, yet these coins carried the weight of America's economy every day as they circulated through cash registers, vending machines, public transit fare boxes, parking meters, and charitable donations. However, just because most coins remain common does not mean all are created equal. Collectors evaluate coins primarily based on three factors: condition, rarity, and variety or error status. The average 1998 p dime found in circulation today has lost much of its original luster from years of use. The fine details in Roosevelt's portrait and the torch on the reverse have worn smooth over time. These worn coins are generally only worth a small premium above face value, sometimes 30 cents or so, because collectors value them only slightly for completion of date and mint mark sets or as curiosities. But when a coin is preserved in exceptional condition, for example, it never entered circulation and retains sharp details alongside original mint luster, its value can increase considerably. Uncirculated examples graded by professional services can range from a few dollars to tens of dollars depending on quality. When coins display full bands on the reverse where the horizontal lines on the torch are complete and sharply struck, they are especially desirable. These full bands specimens show that the coin was struck with strong pressure and good die alignment, features appreciated by Roosevelt dime specialists. In high grades with full bands, 1998 p dimes have been known to sell for several $100s among collectors who focus on strike quality in addition to condition. The most dramatic values happen when a coin displays minting errors or unusual varieties. Unlike rare dates from early U.S. coinage, modern dimes tend to have extremely high production numbers, which means that errors and oddities rather than low mintages are often the keys to higher value. Errors occur when something unexpected happens during the minting process, whether during planchet preparation, die creation, or striking itself. These errors can appear in a variety of forms, each with its own implications for rarity and desirability. One fascinating type of error involves fused coins, also sometimes called a bonded group. This occurred when multiple planchets, or blanks, accidentally stuck together and were struck as a single heavy piece. In rare instances, groups of dozens of dimes have been found fused and struck together. One such error involving 1986 Roosevelt dimes formed a bonded group of 32 dimes connected as a single piece weighing over 72 grams and sold for several $1,000s due to its unique nature. While this exact scenario is extremely rare and not common for 1998 specifically, similar fused errors have been documented for modern Roosevelt dimes and represent how industrial-scale production can sometimes produce bizarre outcomes that excite collectors when discovered. Another category collectors examine is the presence of strange die variations or doubled dies. Between different years of the series, some Roosevelt dimes have been struck from dies that received multiple misaligned impressions during hubbing, the process of transferring the design to the working die. When the misalignment is significant enough, letters or numbers can appear doubled on the coin. Although there are no widely documented major doubled die varieties for the standard 1998 dime, minor doubling can occur. Subtle doubling in the date or lettering, when genuine and not just die wear, can make a particular coin worth more than its typical counterpart. Detecting such doubling requires careful examination under magnification and careful comparison against known examples. Beyond double dies, many error types result from mechanical problems during the striking process itself. Off-center strikes occur when the blank planchet did not sit properly in the press and is struck slightly offset from its intended position. In these coins, part of the design appears missing, sometimes dramatically so, while the other portion remains visible. The value of an off-center error coin depends largely on how much of the design is missing and whether key identifying features like the date are still present. In some cases, severe off-center dimes from the late 20th century have sold for significant amounts because they clearly show a striking error while still remaining identifiable. A related variety is the clipped planchet error, which occurs earlier in the manufacturing process when a blank was cut from sheet metal incorrectly. If the cut overlaps another hole, it leaves a coin blank with a curved or straight edge missing. When such a clipped blank enters the press, the finished coin displays a clear missing section along its perimeter. Collectors prize these because they visually illustrate the minting process and are noticeably different from ordinary coins. The size of the clip and how much of the design remains intact can significantly affect value. Bigger clips that intersect important design elements tend to command higher premiums because they are more dramatic and rarer. Yet another error category involves die cracks and cuds. Dies used to strike coins wear down over many thousands of strikes, and as they weaken they begin to develop cracks. When a cracked die strikes a coin, metal flows into the crack and leaves raised lines on the coin's surface. These raised lines may be thin and subtle or thick and dramatic depending on the severity of the crack. Over time, if a piece of the die actually breaks off, the resulting coin can show a raised blank area known as a cud where a part of the design is missing. These features are of particular interest to collectors specializing in die state progressions, the study of how dies wear and change over time, as they offer a tangible record of the mint's manufacturing process. Even though many die cracks are minor and add only modest value to a coin, larger cracks or cuds that affect design elements can fetch tens to hundreds of dollars among collectors who appreciate error coins. The presence or absence of mint marks also adds another layer of complexity. While Philadelphia minted coins carry the P mint mark, coins struck in other years from the same series might show D for Denver or S for San Francisco proof issues. Differences in mint mark and how they were applied can sometimes lead to varieties. In earlier decades, mint marks were hand-punched on dies, leading occasionally to repunched mint marks. After automation improved, mint marks were included in the master die, reducing this phenomenon, but careful collectors still examine mint mark appearance closely for irregularities. Examples where mint marks appear doubled, misplaced, or unusual can attract collector interest if such characteristics are genuine and not simply post-mint damage. Another consideration for collectors is the full bands designation. This is a term used by numismatists to describe Roosevelt dimes with complete horizontal lines on the torch on the reverse side of the coin. Beginning in the early 2000s, collectors started attaching additional value to full bands Roosevelt dimes because they indicate a strong, well-struck coin. Although full bands premiums are often associated with later years such as 1998's sibling Denver issue, the presence of complete bands on a 1998 P dime can similarly enhance its value, especially in high grades and professional certification. Some examples certified MS-67 and showing full bands have sold for several $100s, and top certified examples have fetched even higher. Condition remains one of the most important factors determining a coin's value. Coins that have circulated for years typically show wear, loss of luster, scratches, and color changes. Such coins, even if they date from a year with large mintages like 1998, remain common and are usually worth their face value or just slightly above. But coins that remain in mint state condition, meaning they were not circulated and still exhibit original strike detail and surfaces, are much rarer. Collectors use a grading scale from 1 to 70 to quantify condition, with higher numbers indicating fewer imperfections and closer resemblance to a freshly struck coin. An MS-65 example might be reasonably priced, but MS-67 and above examples become progressively more valuable because fewer examples survive in such pristine condition. Proof coins add yet another dimension to the 1998 dime story. Proof dimes struck in San Francisco carry the S Mint mark and were produced for collectors rather than circulation. These coins were struck with specially prepared dies and highly polished planchets, resulting in mirror-like fields that contrast sharply with the frosted design elements. Proof Roosevelt dimes from 1998 can range from modest values in lower certified grades to significantly higher prices in top grades, especially when they exhibit strong cameo or deep cameo contrast. While many proof issues from the late 20th century remain within modest value ranges, collectible interest can push prices upward for perfect examples. Collecting coins like the 1998 P. Roosevelt dime is not just about monetary value. It's also about understanding the story each coin tells. Each coin began life as a metal planchet produced for a specific purpose, to facilitate everyday commerce. As coins travel through time, they experience wear and tear, changing hands, touching surfaces, and enduring the wear of use. The coins that survive in beautiful condition have often done so because they were saved, forgotten, cherished, or overlooked in jars and collections for years before being rediscovered. This chance of discovery is what keeps collectors engaged. Rolls of coins opened from banks, jars uncovered in attics, and old collections inherited from grandparents can all yield surprises. Most of the time what people find are ordinary coins, but occasionally something unusual appears: a coin with a striking error, an unusual variety, or a pristine strike that survived decades without wear. Those discoveries remind collectors that even the most familiar coins may still hold surprises. The market for coins like the 1998 P. Roosevelt dime changes over time. Economic conditions, collector interest, and auction results all influence pricing. While not every 1998 P dime will become a treasure, certain examples carry characteristics that make them desirable to collectors. A coin that once spent years in circulation might reveal full bands, exceptional strike quality, an unusual minting error, or simply remarkable preservation. When such characteristics appear, they can raise a coin's value far beyond its original 10 cents. In everyday circulation, a 1998 P dime often looks like just another piece of change. Most remain in pockets, wallets, and coin jars, changing hands incessantly and rarely attracting attention. But even among billions of ordinary coins, a few extraordinary pieces exist, some hiding quietly, waiting to be recognized. For the general public, such coins may go unnoticed for decades. For collectors, they represent the thrill of discovery and the joy of connecting with the history embedded in metal. If you ever come across a dime from 1998 with exceptional detail, unusual features, or strange characteristics, it might be worth a closer look. Even a subtle difference from a typical dime could hint at a story worth telling. In a world where everyday objects often lack mystery, coins like the 1998 P. Roosevelt dime remind us that sometimes the most ordinary items have the most fascinating stories to tell. Whether you're an experienced collector, a casual enthusiast, or someone simply curious about the possibility that spare change might hold unexpected value, the history and variety of the 1998 P dime offer an intriguing journey into the world of numismatics. And somewhere, hidden in plain sight in pockets and drawers across the country, thousands of ordinary coins await rediscovery, some common, many forgettable, and a precious few extraordinarily valuable. A single coin in your pocket could be worth far more than its face value, hidden in plain sight for decades. Most people toss dimes into jars without a second thought, but what if one of those 10-cent pieces carried a rare variation, a minting mistake, or a once-in-a-lifetime error that could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars to the right collector? The 1999 D. Liberty Roosevelt dime is one such coin that many people overlook every day, yet beneath its familiar surface lies a fascinating tale of minting history, die quality, production processes, and the surprising ways that tiny irregularities can dramatically increase a coin's value. If you've ever wondered whether a dime from pocket change could be a hidden treasure, the story of the 1999 D dime will open your eyes to how ordinary coins can become extraordinary. In everyday life, a Roosevelt dime is a dime. It's worth exactly 10 cents at a checkout stand or in a parking meter. But coins like the 1999 D Roosevelt dime illustrate how that simple 10-cent value can be just the beginning of the story. Collectors examine these coins for condition, production quality, design features, and minting errors that slipped past quality control at the mint. Only a tiny fraction of coins display noteworthy characteristics worth investigating, but the possibility that your loose change may contain one of these rarities keeps collectors sifting through rolls, jars, and collections with enthusiasm and patience. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, just after the end of World War II, to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a leader widely admired for guiding the nation through the Great Depression and much of the war. Roosevelt's reputation for resilience and vision made him a compelling choice for commemoration on America's 10-cent coin, especially since he had also been a passionate supporter of the March of Dimes, a fund-raising campaign to eradicate polio, a disease that had affected him personally. The design features Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and a torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. This design, created by sculptor John R. Sinnock, is one of the most enduring in American coinage and remains in use to this day. The 1999 D dime was struck at the Denver Mint, denoted by the small letter D on the front of the coin next to the date. That year Denver produced approximately 1,397,750,000 dimes for circulation, a figure that illustrates just how common these coins are. Because so many were produced, the vast majority of 1999 D dimes that surface in pocket change today are worth only their face value of 10 cents. These circulated coins show signs of wear from years of handling, their surfaces have smoothed, details have faded, and their once shiny finishes have dulled. A common circulated 1999 D dime is generally worth about 10 cents to collectors who want a representative example for a Roosevelt dime collection or for completing date and mint mark sets, yet not all 1999 D dimes are created equal. Coins that remain in uncirculated condition, meaning they never entered general commerce and still retain crisp details and original luster, are far less common. These uncirculated coins can be worth more based on their grade, a numerical scale that measures a coin's condition from poor to perfect mint state. A 1999 D dime graded in uncirculated condition at levels such as MS60 to MS64 might command a small premium of about 30 cents to a couple of dollars, while higher uncirculated grades MS65 and above may reach values of $5 to $25 or more depending on quality and eye appeal. Coins exhibiting particularly strong strike characteristics, especially the full bands designation where the horizontal lines on the torch's fasces are fully defined, can attract a premium because they represent superior production quality within the series. Extremely high-grade 1999 D dimes with full band certifications have sold for notable amounts at auctions, reflecting collector demand for exceptional specimens beyond ordinary circulation examples. The process of minting coins is precise but not infallible. At mint facilities like the one in Denver, workers operate powerful presses that strike coins at tremendous speed. Even with rigorous quality control, tiny irregularities occasionally slip through. These irregularities, or mint errors, are the source of much excitement in the numismatic world because they reveal glimpses into moments when the striking process deviated from normal production, and for collectors, those deviations can translate into added value. Some of the most dramatic error coins are those where the coin was struck on the wrong planchet. This happens when a blank disc intended for one denomination ends up in the press for another. For example, a 1999 D dime die might accidentally strike a blank intended for a cent planchet, producing a coin with the Roosevelt dime design but the size, metal content, or color of a penny. One particularly famous 1999 D dime error known as the broad struck on a cent planchet is a striking example of this phenomenon. In this error, the coin appears much larger and thinner than a normal dime and retains a copper color because it was struck on a planchet meant for pennies, not clad dimes. These errors are exceedingly rare, with only a handful known to exist worldwide. Certified examples graded at high levels have sold for staggering figures, sometimes exceeding $6,000 at major auctions due to their extreme rarity and striking appearance. The broad struck on a cent planchet error is more than just a mistake, it represents a dramatic departure from normal minting. It occurs when a planchet that is the wrong size or composition for the intended coin enters the mint press without the protective collar in place. That collar normally keeps the metal confined during the strike, ensuring the coin's shape and thickness conform to specifications. When the collar is absent or improperly seated and the planchet is the wrong type, the metal can flow outward and produce a coin that is both visually striking and technically fascinating. Because these errors are so rare and unplanned, their discovery in any context even long after they were minted sparks intense interest among error coin collectors. Not all errors are quite so dramatic, but even subtle differences can lead to increased interest and value. One such category is the off-center strike. This type of error happens when the coin blank is not perfectly positioned within the press, causing the design to be partially missing on one side. The degree of misalignment determines the visual impact and, therefore, the coin's collector value. Slight off-center strikes, say 10% off-center, are usually worth only a small premium, while more significant deviations where the date remains visible can command hundreds of dollars, particularly in uncirculated grades. These misaligned coins provide a clear visible record of a mechanical anomaly during striking and are prized by error collectors who specialize in unusual production outcomes. Another well-known production error category is the double die error. Unlike an off-center strike, which is a striking mistake, a double die involves an error in the die creation itself. Dies receive impressions from a master hub to engrave the design used on coins. If the die is struck multiple times during preparation but slightly misaligned between strikes, the resulting coins exhibit doubled imagery. Letters, numbers, or design elements appear to have two outlines. Some years have widely documented double die varieties that are highly collectible, and while the 1999 D Roosevelt dime does not have one of the most famous double die varieties in U.S. numismatic history, minor doubling examples do exist, and careful collectors examine the coin's obverse and reverse for subtle doubling that can increase value. These double die errors require magnification and comparison against normal examples to confirm, but when identified, they contribute to collector demand and elevated pricing for specific coins. Not every irregularity is created equal, though. Some surface anomalies on coins are not actual mint errors but rather post-mint damage incurred after the coin left the mint. Distinguishing between a genuine mint error and later damage is crucial for accurate valuation, and experienced collectors often rely on careful visual inspection, magnification, and comparison with reference materials to differentiate between the two. Genuine errors tend to have clean, consistent features that reflect the mechanical processes involved in striking, while damage from circulation tends to appear jagged, inconsistent, and unrelated to known minting error types. The surface appearance of a coin, whether bright and lustrous or worn and dull, also affects value. Coins in mint state condition are those that have never been used in everyday transactions and retain their original surfaces. These coins often have full, sharp details and may exhibit attractive coloration that collectors prize. A coin's grade within the mint state range, such as MS65, MS66, MS67, and higher, reflects its level of perfection. For 1999 D dimes, gems graded MS67 full bands are rare survivors from a massive production run, and auction records indicate that top certified examples can sell for prices far exceeding typical collector values. Some exceptional uncirculated 1999 D dimes graded at the highest levels are known to have brought thousands of dollars at auction, showing just how much difference condition can make for coins that otherwise seem commonplace. Collectors pursue these coins with tools ranging from simple magnifying glasses to high-powered microscopes and professional reference catalogs. Coin enthusiasts gather at shows, online forums, and social media communities to share discoveries, compare varieties, and learn about emerging error types. Though only a small percentage of coins will ever be valuable beyond face value, the thrill of discovery, whether finding a full band's dime in circulation, an off-center strike, or a mismatched planchet error, is what keeps collectors searching through bags of coins with patience and enthusiasm. It is also worth noting that market values are not static. Coin values can fluctuate based on collector demand, broader economic conditions, and auction results. A rare error that fetched a certain price a few years ago may command more or less today, depending on interest in the coin market. Grading services like PCGS and NGC help collectors establish authenticity and condition, which in turn helps buyers and sellers agree on market values. Coins authenticated and graded by these services often command higher prices because collectors trust the professional evaluation. Even though most 1999 D Roosevelt dimes are common and worth 10 cents in circulation, the presence of uncirculated gems, full band survivors, and rare mint errors ensures that this coin remains of interest within the numismatic community. A coin that sat unnoticed in a pocket or drawer for decades may appear unremarkable at first glance, yet under close inspection it could reveal features that distinguish it from ordinary circulation pieces. These differences, whether subtle die doubling, unusual planchet characteristics, or dramatic minting errors, are what transform an everyday coin into something collectible. The story of the 1999 D dime also reflects broader themes in the history of U.S. coinage. Modern American coins are mass-produced to serve as reliable currency for a nation of millions. In most years, literally billions of coins are minted, and quality control systems are designed to prevent mistakes. Yet the human and mechanical components of the minting process leave room, however small, for irregularities to occur. When those irregularities slip through and enter circulation, they become part of the coin's legacy and, in the eyes of collectors, add layers of historical richness and potential value. For a collector just beginning to explore coins, the 1999 D dime offers a useful case study. It is relatively modern, so coins are plentiful and inexpensive in ordinary grades, yet there are a variety of features that collectors can learn to spot, whether that means identifying a strong strike with full bands, looking for subtle doubling, or recognizing larger errors like off-center strikes or wrong planchet examples. Unlike many older coins where rarity is tied to low initial mintages or historical scarcity, modern coin collecting often focuses more on condition, strike quality, and the presence of mint errors. Finding a rare coin like a 1999 D dime with significant collectible value is statistically unlikely. It's far more common to encounter an ordinary circulation strike worth 10 cents, but that slim possibility is part of what keeps collectors motivated. Every roll of coins from a bank, every pocket full of change, could hold a coin worth far more than its nominal denomination. The hunt for these rare specimens binds collectors together in a shared pursuit of hidden history and unexpected value. Some valuable coins are discovered serendipitously, while others are identified through careful study and reference comparison. The experience of finding a rare error coin is often described as a thrill, akin to unearthing a small piece of forgotten history. Whether the value of a 1999 D dime lies in its exceptional physical condition, its rare full band strike, or its mint error pedigree, each such coin serves as a reminder that even the most commonplace objects can hold extraordinary stories. Over time, as coins continue to circulate and as collectors revisit older change with fresh eyes and new tools, additional rare 1999 D dimes may yet come to light. Some may already be tucked away in collections, forgotten jars of change, or pocket accumulations, waiting for their moment of recognition. For anyone curious about hidden value in everyday objects, the 1999 D Roosevelt dime offers a compelling illustration of how seemingly ordinary coins can reveal compelling and valuable surprises.